Good morning and welcome to Talking Tuesday. Today I am joined by the lovely Calvin, who's here from Changing Futures Northeast. Good morning, Calvin.
Hi Sarah, how you doing?
Great, thank you. It's lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, as always, if anyone's got any questions, any comments along the way, if they just want to pop them in the comments and then we'll do our best to answer them for you. So, Calvin, do you want to first off tell us what Changing Futures Northeast is for those who don't know?
So Changing Futures Northeast is a charity based out of the Headland here in Hartlepool. They were previously known as Headland Futures. We have several elements within the charity. We have a range of services that include mediation, um, healthy relationships. We have a school outreach program for parents, and we have my team, which is the employment team, along with the IAP team, which is improving access to psychological therapies. So the charity as a whole has multiple functions. I would encourage anybody to kind of take a look at our website. We're available across all social media platforms. We are Hartlepool based. We are about our community. We are looking to try and make an impact within our region. That's even though we are Changing Futures Northeast, we do have a concentration of our services within the town.
Excellent. So, obviously, we'll talk a little bit about the service that you have got going on and obviously your specific area. If people do have a look at your services and I think there's something that would be useful for them, can they self-refer or do they need to get a referral from another sort of body?
Well, no, it depends on what service it is, and the reality is in most services that can be self-referred, especially on the employment side of stuff that I'm doing, where we encourage people to come forward. Again, it's a journey, and we talk about this a lot, how motivated individuals are to seek out help. It can purely be on their own momentum. We want to try and encourage people to come forward, but we're also there to support people that say, well, I'm a family member of so and so that I feel like this individual needs some help, and we're happy to have those conversations as well. Again, it would vary from service to service, but
Yeah.
for me specifically on the employment team, we're happy to have self referrals.
Excellent. So, tell me more about the employment team and what you guys are up to at the moment.
So we are a fairly new team. It's currently consists of two of us. My wonderful colleague Claire Dobson is the one of the leads on the Kickstart program for Hartlepool. If for those that don't know what the government's Kickstart program is, it is an employment program that is completely funded by the government. It's 25 hours of work per week, fully paid according to your age. It is mainly aimed at 16 to 24-year-olds that are currently not in employment or are in receipt of universal credit. Um, we have a range of employers on there, and multiple job opportunities. It is a fantastic platform for a young person to actually go out there and experience something. It is a 6 month placement for which you earn while you learn and work, because we put in place a learning schedule as well, an education schedule while you are in your placement, because it's only 25 hours a week. We're hoping that young people will have enough time on their hands to actually continue their studying and education. Um, but that's the Kickstart scheme. So if you think about that for just a couple of seconds, that would be Claire on the front end. Claire does a lot of work with employers and employees itself. If you want to think about what my role is within, as I do a lot of the back end work of that. And the back end is really looking at young people that are getting ready to work. We look at causes and symptoms, right? Symptoms being unemployment for young people, but a lot of the adults within that realm always talk about. Um, I wish my young person could have a bit more confidence in their abilities, right? We talk about
Yeah, we
we
know this feeling very well with our kids.
Yeah, so we talk about the word confidence. However, we rarely look at what are those tools that make confidence? Confidence is a consequence or a result of multiple areas of strength, being if they are if we talk about them being confident in themselves. However, we shy away from the elements of why they are not confident in themselves. Could this be a social emotional issue? Could this be a well-being issue? Could this be an actual lack of skills in the area of work that they would like to be in, right? um, a perfect example of this would be someone who would like to be in hospitality and leisure, for example. And they turn around and say, well, I think I'm a people person. They are. I would like to be in hospitality and leisure. It looks like a really good fit, but I don't know if I'm confident enough to be in that environment. And that confidence doesn't that confidence that lack of thereof of the confidence is just because of they don't understand what the expectations
Yeah.
are. What does that look like? So for me on the back end, I kind of work on all those elements. We have um, some of the things that these young people need to get used to is staying on your feet for 3 4 hours at a time in a catering hospitality environment. That could be a challenge. Conflict management. We all know that if you are working in the hospitality and catering areas, you will get that awkward client.
Yeah.
You will have someone that will complain about how do we deal with this? How do we actually look at this? Three main areas that I personally am working with in terms of broad domains is care and ex-care leavers, so young people coming out of the care system that could utilize our services on this prior to them even attempting to go into employment. We also look at young people outside mainstream mainstream educational environments. So if they're out of mainstream schools, if they're in some kind of a PRU, or if they're some kind of in some kind of SEMH school, or they're in alternative provision, I want to try and work with these young people to try and go in there and say, well, this is the stuff that we can do to kind of help build your skill set so that you are ready for employment. Realistically, year 10s, year 11s, the upper echelon of their school life, getting ready to leave. And the third group. So we had care and ex-care leavers. We have young people outside mainstream education, and the third and final one is returning YOIs. Any young person that has been within any of the youth offending institutions or has returned or has received some kind of sentence that they feel is limiting them in their actual potential,
Yeah.
We're happy to work with them and kind of guide them through that process and hopefully find the right opportunities for them. So those are the three main areas that we are working on. We do a bit of outreach work. I do a bit of outreach work. I go into local schools and PRUs and SEMH schools and kind of deliver to their the older segments of year 10 and year 11s getting ready to leave education, to kind of put on a palette what kind of opportunities are available to them. It isn't just if a lot of the young people that I talk to turn around and say, well, I don't think I don't want to be in a classroom. I don't think education is the way I need to be. Well, is it because you don't like the education part from the style of presentation? Do you not like sitting in a chair and reading through a presentation? Or if we were to find you an opportunity where you can learn while you earn, would that be more? Yes, I'm more of a hands-on kind of person. Understand? Let's give that a try, right?
Definitely.
And we look at different opportunities for them.
That sounds fantastic. That sounds like something I'd actually completely separately, but I'd really like to get you to come in and talk to some of our older carers, to be honest, because
We would love
I'm
that.
having so many conversations with our kids at the moment, even as young as sort of the ones who are looking at their options at the moment, and they're trying to decide what options to take. And I remember myself, obviously, it was, oh, well, we won't talk about how long ago that was, but trying to decide at that age, right, these options could effectively change your whole life. Um, and
Oh,
we're trying
sorry.
really hard to say to them, sort of, just try not to worry, but it's so easy to say that when there is so much pressure on them.
It is. It's one of those, we're asking a 16-year-old to kind of what they may think is life-changing decisions, right? Part of something that one of the programs that I run at the local schools with a lot of help from their PSHE teams is talking about pivoting within your career, talking about actually understanding what does success, stumbles, and what does failure look like, right? A lot of people look at a stumble as a failure,
Yeah.
and sometimes young people can almost hit a stumble and think that it's a failure and completely regress back to what is the path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
And we almost, when we deliver these programs, we actually plan for them, right? I use lots of resources. We use as a team lots of resources from CAMS, and we talk about actually planning for those bad days. Not everybody that wants to get up and go to work knows that it's going to be a great day every day, all the time, every single minute. That's the reality. There is going to be a hiccup
It
along the way.
really is.
There is going to be a bump in the road. It's almost planning for that. We talk about, okay, if you have a bad day at work and it is your part of like you're in your probation a period at work, how do you deal with this? Do we come home? Do we sit down? Do we have a shower? Do we take the dog out for a walk? Who is your inner circle that you can pick up the phone to, that you can call, that you can text? If that inner circle doesn't exist, can we talk about platforms like Quell or Kooth that you can kind of get on and talk and kind of express those feelings? Keeping it within is not something that we want to try and do. We want to try and sit there and almost plan for these things. And being very honest with young people, sometimes it's really important to be authentic. That's the term, authentic, because I mean, if you're fake about it, they're going to know straight up. Right?
Yeah, they can tell.
They can tell. Like I have a 6-year-old at home. The brutal honesty that comes out of her is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But again, being authentic with them, kind of understanding. I do not at any point make excuses for anybody. Right? Effort is a choice, and so long as the young person is willing to put in the effort, I am willing to give it everything we have in our team and in our own day-to-day activities to give them the opportunity to succeed. Right? We are a stepping stone. We are a launching platform. That is where we want to see we want everyone's best for them to actually be brought to light. And that's the whole concept behind it. We are a bit different when it comes to how we go about this. When we talk about delivery and we talk about actually going out and doing these things and educating these young people on these opportunities and how they can go about it, we do not do it in a presentation, sit down, classroom style. We do it as activity based.
Brilliant.
So we're very much, let's get a few young people in the room. Let's understand if we're gonna educate you on conflict management in the workplace, let us actually put you in a situation where you have to resolve some kind of conflict. It's not role play, it's actually solving some problems. So I'll give you a typical example. If I had a group of 8 young people in a room, I would have, let's say, 2 packs of cards. I'd separate them into 2 groups of 4. I'd give one pack of cards. I'd give them the other pack. I'd put 2 minutes on the board, and I would turn around and say, sort it, right? Sort the cards. If I've done my job correctly, one group will finish before another group. However, one group will sort the cards red and black, versus one group will sort it by suits. I could have another potential group that sorts it by numbers, all the 2s together, all the 3s together, all the 4s together. Is everybody correct? Yes, everybody's correct. It's everybody's interpretation. Then we kind of delve into what were the complexities? Who came up with that idea? Did anybody challenge this individual? How did that conversation go? Were you able to accept? Were you able to come to some kind of common ground? Believe it or not, something as simple as that occurs every day in the workplace. All right, Sarah might not agree with some of Calvin's ideas. However, Can we come to some common ground? Are we actually, is our goal one and the same, and we're just taking different routes to it?
Yeah.
And it's just really diving into that. We do several things. That's just one element of it. The outreach work that we do at schools, when we're working with PSHE teams, we talk about law, justice, what are the differences in different from different aspects of the law and the justice system, and how something as simple as a caution or a remand can be detrimental to your overall the overall couple of years following it. We incorporate elements of money, finance, understanding what is an APR versus an AER, understanding what excuse me. So let's decided to join in on the call. The elements of APR, AER, understanding how those payday loans that can be absolutely disastrous to a young person. Why are they so detrimental to your actual financial longevity? So we touch upon lots of things. I mean, I don't want to
I
go
know
on.
that stuff is so important because it's not stuff that you do learn. Well, I don't think you still learn it. You learn it at school. I know you certainly never used to, but it is stuff that you go out there into the real world. I remember when I first started my first job, and I was getting this money every month, and I was just like, and I just blew it because you've never had that sort of money in your life. And apart from the fact that my dad straight away made me maybe set up a pension, but apart from that, nothing else. Like I didn't think about savings or anything like that. It was just
I
like,
mean, how
yeah, I
really?
can go out at the weekend. I can buy this. I can buy that.
That's it. I mean, it's a really simple question. I mean, you sit there, you look at the options today to go and buy a car. I'm not even talking about a house and a mortgage or anything. So you want a car? Do I buy a car outright? Do I lease it? Do I finance it? Is it hire purchase? Is it PCP?
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, it's those the kind of real life things that if a young person wants a car, and they look at it and they say, okay, what is the cheapest payment? Okay, hold on a second. The cheapest payment may not be the smartest, most prudent decision for you going forward where you are currently in your life. You know, can we give you those tools to make the correct decision?
It's very similar with, and I don't even know if I should be saying this. I don't want to be slagging off any sort of government schemes or anything like that. But I bought a Help to Buy house 11 years ago because it was the only way I was going to be able to get on the property ladder because I didn't have a deposit. I couldn't get a deposit. I couldn't save up enough for a deposit. So we bought a Help to Buy. And now I'm very much in the situation where it's sort of, yes, it was fantastic. It got me on the property ladder, but now looking at possibly wanting to move on and things like that, and it's put new hurdles in a way that wouldn't have done if I'd have just saved up and bought bought that house with a deposit.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's arming you with just the right information to make the correct decision, or even arming you with the tools to investigate that decision making process.
Yeah.
If you are looking at a help to buy scheme for your house, or you're looking at a 5% down, 95% funded, what are the hurdles to that? Right? Is there a lockup period? Is there certain clauses within there? How to talk about how do you mitigate that kind of risk? You take a 30-year mortgage, right? Let's say you are a young 23, 24-year-old. You're taking a 30-year mortgage. How do you actually mitigate that 30-year mortgage if God forbid you fell ill? You work a construction job. You're a young man at this particular point in time. You're doing really well in your career, but for 30 years, will you be doing this? What happens to the young children in the house? It's just education. It's just literally bring together all those tools.
Definitely. It's really valuable stuff that you're doing. It really is. So obviously we spoke briefly at the beginning about how to get involved. If this sounds like obviously something that somebody would be interested in, and like I said, it's certainly something I want to get some of our kids interested in. What's the next step? What do they need to do? How do they get involved?
So I'm hoping I've shared a flyer with you, Sarah, and I'm hoping you put it up on the page. And literally, the flyer has a barcode, a QR code, excuse me, a QR code on it. All they have to do is use the camera on their phone, scan the QR code, literally open up the camera app, hover it over the QR code. It brings up a referral form. It can be you can fill it out yourself, and then you can and then it'll turn up on my inbox. And in the referral form itself, I'm very cautious and very mindful of when people like to get contacted and how
Yeah.
people like to get contacted. Not gone were the days that everybody likes a phone call these days.
I hate talking on the phone.
That's
Hate
it.
it.
And gone are the days where there are moments in time at certain time frames that are more suitable to other people. Some people are just not morning people, or some people are working a night shift, or some people are trying to get doing the school run at 9 a.m. in the morning with young children. Me calling is probably not the best idea. So in the referral form, there is how you would like to be contacted, what time you'd like to be contacted, and I will contact you. And the process from there on is a little face-to-face meeting. Um, we do, if you're uncomfortable with being in an indoor environment, we do a lot of walk and talking therapy. So we'll go out and we'll kind of have a quick conversation, just to understand as a young person where you are in your journey. Um, and then the second step from there is looking at a skills gap analysis where we kind of look and say, right, this is where you'd like to go. Tell me what you have. Can we bolster that and get you in the right place? We also look at things that need to be addressed. For example, you would like to go into this particular field, but you feel like you don't have the confidence to do that. Good, let's address that. If you have worked with previous schemes similar to ours, and if there has been a failure, I want to know why that failure occurred, so that we never ever are putting ourselves in a position to repeat a past experience, even though it's not been with Changing Futures. I really want us to be out there and kind of pushing that boundary to kind of make sure that every person gets what they want to get out of it. They fill out the form, I get in touch, we do a skills gap analysis, we do a little bit of work, and we look at what is the best opportunity for them. That opportunity can happen today if they're ready. If that opportunity wants to happen in 2 weeks' time, we can look at that. There are several opportunities. I'm not governed by just the Kickstart scheme. There's apprenticeships, there's traineeships, there's there's actual construction employment work that's out there. I'm looking at all situations, even if you are returning YY, etc. And you feel like your situation may be unique or individual to yourself. We're happy to see if we can find a way to help you.
Amazing. So just to clarify, there's the Kickstart scheme and then there's your scheme. Are they both the same criteria, 16 to 24?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
16 to 24, possibly even 25. That's what we're looking at. That group of young people is where we see that there is a need for a lot of help in that age category. For now, we're looking at only 16 to 24-year-olds. I'm happy to have conversations around Kickstart, outside of Kickstart. If they want a traineeship, if they want to go straight into employment, I'm okay with having that conversation. And again, it's not just a self-referral. If you are a head teacher that's watching this and you'd like me to deliver to your students, we have programs for schools. If you are a parent or guardian, a carer, that's watching this, and you feel like that your young person within your household, 15, 16, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, it looks like they don't have a roadmap to where they would like to go. We're happy to help with that. Again, just enabling young people to develop their own roadmap out of it.
Yeah, and it is so important. I remember when I left college, and Louise will be able to tell you, our secondary school at the time was very big on, and I think it was quite common, but our secondary school at the time was very big on university is your next step. When we went through what sort of all of like your careers interviews and things like that, it was always led towards what universities are you going to apply for. There wasn't talk of apprenticeships or anything like that. Um, and I got my place at university. I had all the qualifications and the A levels I needed. I had my place there, and I just sat to me and I thought to myself, why am I doing this? I think it was business IT or something like that I'd put down. I'd wanted to do English, but my teacher told me I wasn't going to get the grades to do English at uni. I ended up coming out with a B, and I was like, ugh. But besides the point, so I had my place at university, and I thought, why am I doing this? I don't want to go to university at the end of 4 years, still not know what I want to do with my life, be in a ton of debt, and be no further forward. So I ended up turning that place down. And at the time, I worked part time at the football club. I worked on a Saturday on a match day, and they had a reception job going. So I applied for that just to keep me going until I found out what I wanted to do. Ended up spending 13 years there, um, and then each step has brought me to the role that I'm at now. So I went from the football club. I went and did property for a year. Then I came back to the football club, worked with their charity, and when I was working with their charity, that's how I got involved with Hartlepool Carers. Ended up getting to know the kids, thinking the kids were just absolutely amazing, just being overwhelmed with what they were doing. And then when the job came up here, I was like, right, that's it. That's what I want to do. And it
And
just goes to show that it doesn't have to be that school, college, university.
absolutely,
It
absolutely.
doesn't.
Absolutely, and not being afraid to pivot. I mean, some of the most
Pivot.
yeah, pivot. Yeah, just pivot your career. Pivot. That I mean, some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I've met have pivoted their careers at least 3 or 4 times, and
Mm-hmm.
every career, believe it or not, has lended itself to experience and a wealth of information to the next part of your career. I am the same. I pivoted out of a finance career into what I currently do, and it brings with it all the elements of finance that I would love to teach and educate kids in. Louise, who you know very well, my wife, she's pivoted out of her teaching career and moved straight into actually working within Hartlepool's families and participations team at the council. And she makes a massive impact in what she does locally. And just not being afraid to pivot. I mean, every experience in life carries its value. It's just about how you utilize it for the next step in your journey.
Got a message here from Victoria, who me and Louise also know very well. Good morning, Victoria. And she said she did the whole school, college, university, and now she's a home parent, homeschooling her autistic 10-year-old. And I can tell you, she does an absolute fantastic job. Um, so yeah, it just goes to show that there is no set route, and don't be afraid to just do what you love,
Yeah,
because you
I mean,
spend your whole life working. And this is what I've been saying to the kids who are picking their options at the moment. I said, whether or not unless you want to go in a career in geography or history or whatever, then what choice you make at this point is not going to make a difference to your future. So do something you love. You've got to do your maths, you've got to do your English, you've got to do your science. You need those. But whether or
and I
not
think
you do art or food technology, unless that's the career path you want to go down, do something that makes you happy.
absolutely, and it's one of those that like people always seem to think that there is an end point to educating yourself when the reality is if you're doing this correctly and you're really following what you want to do, educating yourself does not mean you have to sit in a classroom and go to uni every single time. It can be educating yourself with courses and CPDs and listening to podcasts, listening
Yeah.
to Audible, to audiobooks, to education and educating yourself is probably where a lot of people just like almost um, pigeonhole themselves into it. Oh, that means going into university. That goes back to going back to college. I have to be a bookworm or whatever the stigmatic language associated with it is, where it needs to be books and paper and exams. No, educating yourself can we be 1% better every day?
Yeah.
Can we
It
try?
makes me laugh because you're saying about self-teaching and things like that. Um, like I said, although I had a place at uni to do IT, the most I did at school was an A level, and that was like it was your Microsoft Office, your Microsoft Word, those sorts of things. It wasn't anything sort of technical, but over the last sort of, well, over my career, but especially over the last year, I'm now self-taught. I run our website. I do. If there's a problem, it's always Sarah, and it's just what I've taught myself. But you don't have to go down that traditional route. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, there are some careers where you have to go
Yeah,
down that route, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
Um, but it's about what you want to do and make it and being happy, because like I said, you're
absolutely.
going to spend God knows how long working now. So you've got to be happy in it.
66 was the last check I had. 66.
That's depressed me. Although if I get to spend 56 years working with these children, I'll be quite happy. So that's all good.
That sounds like it sounds like you are in an impactful role within Hot Carers, and you clearly, from like 5 minutes of speaking to you, which is very short, you can see that you're passionate about what you do, and that's it. I know this sounds very cliche, but if you are really passionate about what you're doing and you go to work every day knowing that you're making that impact, it becomes, for lack of a better term, work. it
Yeah.
becomes it becomes something that you embody, that you carry, you understand that the impact that you're making is affecting lives, and then it's sort of I'm trying not to use the term you identify with it, because your identity is separate to what you do as a job. However, because of your passion and you're driven and you're motivated, you almost sit there and take on the role of who you are. I call it the Superman syndrome, where you actually want to try and impact as many people as you can, in the short space that you are there, that short time that you are there.
Yeah. Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Calvin. And I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. I think it's such a worthwhile project that you've got going on, both yours and the Kickstart. I actually had Stuart Drummond from NDC on a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking all about the Kickstart project as well. So that's something that we're definitely sharing with a lot of our sort of that age group.
That's awesome. Like I said, thank you for having me on. I mean, you've taken time out of your Tuesday to actually let me kind of put the word out there as to what we do as a charity, as what we do as an employment team. If anybody that would like to get in touch with us, I'm hoping you'll share the flyer for
I
us,
certainly will. Yeah.
and they just need to like get a hold of us, and I will be in touch. And it is where they're trying assist and segue them into their next opportunity. We use the term segue because if you've ever been on a Segway or a hoverboard, you can't go anywhere unless you're leaning forward. So we use the
Yeah.
momentum of the young people to actually move them into their next opportunity.
I still can't get over the QR code on your form. That's amazing.
That's the next part of your self-education. We'll leave that.
That is, I'm literally starting thinking I'm going to learn how to do that now.
Right. Right. Thanks
Oh,
for having
thank
us,
you.
Sarah.
Thank you so much for giving up your time, Calvin. I'll make sure that I share all of Calvin's information on our socials, and obviously make sure you go follow them, like them, Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. And thank you for watching, and I will see everybody next week. And I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Oh, next week it is the Hartlepool Community Hubs, which will be fantastic. They're now all opening back up again, and they've got loads of exciting stuff going on. So make sure you watch that one next week. And thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you, Calvin.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.